Let's jump to this next story so we can call out Joe Biden a little. We got this from The Hill.
Oh boy.
Biden says, quote, "God willing, I don't think we're going to see a recession."
Really?
Well,
Y'all,
God willing, I don't think.
I don't think. We'll just put
Right
dots after that. Joe, so the Biden administration, it was Yellen, said, well, they're all coming out and saying this. A recession is normally 2 consecutive periods with negative growth. However, that's not really what a recession is. So we're not really in a recession, even if that is the case. So Thursday, we're going to find out if it's an official recession, which we all know it is. And that's why they preempted this by saying, despite the official definition of a recession, that's not a recession. And moving forward, we won't see one.
Okay.
This is trying to reduce panic. This is just like at the beginning of COVID when they were telling us not to buy masks.
Yeah.
2 weeks
Like
to slow the
it's
spread.
all about lying because they don't believe in the goodwill of people.
I tell people listening this, we can do what we can do. We can speak up. We can try and provide information to people. We always got to be calm, reasonable, and rational. And then when those people don't want to listen, there's only so much you can do. You can bring a horse to Harvard, but you can't make him learn. However, you can go to a store and buy beans that will last you for a few years. You can stock up on emergency water, emergency food. You can get out of cities. Now, some people tell me, yo, I can't afford to leave the city. Totally get it. Totally understand. It's not easy. I'm sorry. I don't have answers for everybody. I will tell you that there may come a time where things get so bad in cities, and I say may come a time, I don't know, where you're like, it is preferable to just start walking, to leave everything behind, strap on my shoes, and walk out of that city. If, say, like the water system fails or something like that. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying for the time being, if you can't afford to leave the city, it basically means that the way you live in the city is a better standard for you than just being homeless and wandering through the woods. That I understand. Times may come, though, so do what you can is my point.
Yeah, guys, make sure you have passports. I know a lot of Americans don't have passports. Like, if you don't have a passport, please get one.
But do you know why they don't?
Because they never leave.
But do you know why they don't leave?
It's a big country.
It's a big
and
country.
They never leave.
The United States is about as big as Europe is.
And it's quite xenophobic. People are told, at least I was growing up, that the outside world's very dangerous. The outside world,
I know.
outside of the United States, you might get attacked on the street. And, there's some truth to it. You go to South America, the cops are bribed. You got to be careful where you walk
The
at
USA
night.
is more dangerous than a lot of countries.
New York City's. It's a jungle.
Are, yeah.
So it's a mechanical jungle.
It's always funny because, like, you guys know I grew up in the Middle East. I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and it's very funny how people have this idea of that being some super dangerous place. I'm like, bro, it's safer than literally everywhere in the USA.
Let me tell you the problem with these big cities. Let's say you have a chicken, and that chicken takes a dump right in the middle of your yard. You don't think twice. You don't care.
Yeah.
The rain comes a day later, that poop is long gone. What happens if 20 tons of chicken crap plopped right in the middle of your yard?
It's a lot of bacteria.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Rain's not going to wash that away. It's going to be months, and it's still going to be there. It's going to be festering. That's a city.
Yeah.
So I've argued with like Michael Malice, for instance, about overpopulation and climate change. I think it's a problem. And then ultimately come to the agreement, well, population density in cities is a problem.
Sure.
Agreed. These cities are bad. What do we do to get people to stop being in cities? I mean, for one, the cities are struggling to maintain themselves, but also when all of these humans, when you get like 10 million humans in one area all taking a dump at the same time, that goes into one place. The rain and the water can't wash it away. You spread those people out over a few hundred square miles, and now the rain can deal with that, and the earth can, rebalance everything.
What I don't get is I'm looking at the World Economic Forum website. WeForum.org, I think that's it. But the world's mega cities, they want to build mega cities by 2030s.
Of course they do.
I don't understand this logic because if they're centralized, dangerous, starvation vulnerabilities, why would they try and make more of it?
You just explained it.
Like they want to control people's
These
food.
are not good people, bro. You're thinking under the... See, this is the problem that normal, decent, kind, and compassionate people have is it's really hard to understand someone like willfully doing something that is cruel or harmful to others. You can't get your head around it because you're always trying to think, well, they must mean well. And there are people who don't. There are people who don't, right? There are people who do not care about human beings and do not care about humanity, and they're not good people. So you can't view them through this lens of them wanting to help you or do
I'll give you a good example. Adam Kinzinger.
Okay.
I think he's the perfect example of he doesn't care about people.
Who's that? I'm not sure I'm familiar.
He's a Republican on the January 6th committee.
Okay.
And he's going off and off about Trump and how the Republicans are bad and all that stuff. But this guy's not running for re-election. All he's doing is setting fire to the house as he leaves. He could say, look, clearly this is not for me. Clearly what's happening in this country is a problem. I'm out. I'm leaving right now. Instead, he says, I'm not going to run for re-election, but I am going to inflame tensions to the most extreme degree possible, starting fires before I go.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do that.
It's a real thing. I mean, dude, you see this on a small scale on social media every day, right? There are people on there. Fortunately, you know, they don't have like giant followings or a lot of influence and power, but they're purely destructive, right? It's purely destructive and malicious energy. There's nothing positive that they're doing. They're literally just there trying to hurt people, trying to bully people, trying to attack people, and they're doing it day in, day out, right? Now you take someone with that type of psychology and you actually put them in a position of power and influence, like what are they going to do? Again, we've seen this in history. And there are people like that who exist. It's a very, very tiny, minute fragment of the population, but there are 8 billion people in this world.
Perhaps.
So there are millions and millions of
Trolls.
Perhaps it's an emergent
Trolls
phenomenon.
yeah.
You think troll will ever
perhaps
become
it's an-
taboo to
it's-
say online?
Right. Perhaps it's an emergent phenomenon that when meritocratic individuals create a safe and secure society, it protects individuals who normally would not survive. Those
Yes.
people who can't survive, who use words like adulting because they can't live on their own without someone like better adulting. Okay, like, well, you might have to fight a bear for food one day or something. These people can't survive. You end up with a large portion of anti-meritocratic individuals who don't make systems work. They vote against the interests of those who do, and the system flips over. The boat collapses. The strong, of course, climb up, learn to swim and survive, and all of those weak people get gulagged or whatever.
It's the adaptable. It's the ones that get capsized and figure out how to get to shore to rebuild society again that are the ones that survive it. And the strongest may just go down because they don't think quick enough. They're so used to their own system that they've created, and they're very good at it, that when the system capsizes, they don't understand.
Right, but that's basically what it means. It doesn't mean a guy who can lift 50 pounds. It literally means those who are capable, intelligent, and understand are likely to perceive threats, plan ahead effectively, and survive.
It's a Darwin quote. It's not the strongest of the species that will survive, but the ones that are most adaptable to change.
Right. So basically, I that's the general concept.
Yeah.
When a crisis is happening, who's most adaptable to change? Well, first and foremost, the people paying attention who are watching it come.
And that
So
aren't connected to any one ideology.
Let's say there's a bunch of people in a tribe on an island, and half of them have been noticing something weird happening on the shoreline. They're paying attention, and the other people are like, we don't care, nothing's going to happen. Well, the people who noticed the change are the ones who are more adaptable, and then they go, we're going to go climb that hill real quick, and then the tsunami comes and everyone else gets wiped away.
Yeah.
People that are like, God will save me. Like, get that out of your mind right now. You save yourself.
Perhaps.
I mean, I disagree with that framing of it. No one, at least I hope, no one thinks that, like, I don't know, if they're on the street and they get mugged, that Jesus is going to come save them from getting mugged.
Yeah.
I don't think they think that.
That's
They're talking about their spiritual
You can't just duck and
lives,
cover
not
on this one,
their
though.
physical.
I know it's comforting to think that there's a being that's protecting you, but it's not. You got to protect yourself in this harsh reality.
I mean,
don't
they're
think these
talking about
things are
I don't know
spiritual
what that
protection,
means, right?
not like famine won't happen because Jesus will
Like,
save
if
us
I-
from famine.
If I
Like,
pray
that's
enough,
not.
it's not going to not happen. I can't.
I don't
No
think
one
I don't-
thinks
no
that.
one, no one thinks like that.
I hope so.
No one
It's
thinks
the
like
harsh ideology.
Suffering is like the cornerstone of like the Christian faith.
Yeah.
So
Buddhism too.
Some
one-
people certainly believe it. There are people who believe that God is a man in the clouds, like sitting there watching everybody.
That's just one ideology. Don't think the government's going to save you. Don't think God's going to save you. Don't think your neighbor's going to save you. Like, you have to protect yourself and your interests.
What's the saying? God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah, it's true.
There's another saying, chance favors the prepared. You can call it any way you want it. If you are not doing what you have to do to be prepared for what might be happening, well, then, like, what's going to happen? Like,
I think options are always good, and I think that something that people should really know by now is to just have options, right? Have options in terms of places you can live, ways you can earn money, things you can do. Don't be so. I don't know, like maybe because of how I've grown up and the fact that I travel so much, I know I have a different view than most people, but I think that we were talking about the big cities, and I think that something that really happens, of course, is just inertia, right? Like, it's hard to, if you're used to a place, especially if you've grown up somewhere and you live there and your friends and families are there and it's what you know, it's hard to up and move. I understand that. It can be difficult emotionally. It can be financially. You might have a job or a career. I'm not saying that it's just super duper easy for everybody, but I think that seeing where just the level of uncertainty in so much of this stuff, it is wise to just bear that in mind and take steps. Don't just sit there and say, oh, the end is coming. It's like, okay, take some steps. If you haven't already been doing it over the past few years, take some steps so that if stuff does hit the fan or you are getting very uncomfortable or whatever it is, you've got options. Having options is always wise.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Come hang out live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Super Chat. We'll even answer some of your questions. If you want to check out the After Hours Censored Show, go to timcast.com and become a member. We put those up Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. They're very funny, not very family friendly. We'll love to see you there. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.